Hello everyone.
Hey friends.
We're doing a unsolved mystery video because Kayla and I love crime shows and
super into the true crime
and
the weird stuff,
gory stuff.
Yes.
We decided to start making vlogs about it and find ones that are local in Texas or just really random ones that we find that we're interested in, and then talk about it and see what our theories are and who do we think did it or whatever. We're not into paranormal stuff, so don't be asking about that. We are just doing some mystery solving.
Just talking about stuff,
yes.
Our thoughts on it,
yes.
All of that. Our first case that we're going to be talking about today is called the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders. It occurred on the morning of June 13th, 1977 at a place called Camp Scott, and that is in Mays County, Oklahoma. Basically, 3 Girl Scouts, ages 8, 9, and 10, they were raped and murdered, and their bodies were found on a trail near where their campsite was at that they were staying at, that led to the showers that were about 150 yards from where their tent was at. A little bit about the camp that they were staying at. So they were in a Girl Scout troop, so obviously they were on a camping trip with their counselors. So this place called Camp Scott opened in the 20s, and it had always been open mainly for Girl Scouts to go there and to have their summer camp trips or just whatever camping trips. And it was mainly funded by cookie sales, fun fact. After the murder happened, they completely shut the camp down, and it wasn't in use anymore, and it's still not in use to this day. Something super bizarre about the camp that happened, less than 2 months before the murder happened, all of the counselors that were on site, or that were gonna be working at the camp, they had an on-site training session, and one of the counselors went back to her cabin, and it was ransacked and had been messed with. And
so
she had a donut box in there, I guess. I know this sounds funny, but it's relevant.
I thought it was funny at first. I was like,
then she was like, oh dang.
Who cares about the donuts?
Yeah. So she
someone's
had
missing here. Who cares about the donuts?
She had a donut box in her cabin, and all the donuts were missing, but there was a note in there where someone promised that sometime in the future that they were gonna murder 3 girls. But the girl took the note to her director on site and was like, hey, I found this crazy note, plus someone messed with my jam, and they just thought it was a prank, because it was a well-known area.
And they threw it away.
Yeah, they threw it away and didn't take it seriously, and then 2 months later these 3 girls get murdered. So that's a little bit of history about the campsite and a little bit of what happened before.
So there was 3 girls, Lori, Doris, and Michelle. They were 8, 9, and 10. Was the director? I'd be oh, okay.
We're not having camp anymore,
we should
or
maybe cancel it, or
I feel if that happened today, they definitely wouldn't have still had camp, and they would have taken it way more seriously.
So we did look up some pictures of the camp, and it was weird looking,
in the middle of a forest,
real grungy and nothing Girl Scouty.
Yeah. I know that it doesn't matter what the place looked like the girls got killed, but it just looked weird. It just looked sketchy. Just the whole area
if you were gonna send your kids somewhere and you were gonna look at a brochure, that would not be the one I would do.
It was also the late 70s though, so it's kind of, and this place had been open since the 20s, so, but still, it just didn't look like a place for Girl Scouts. I don't know.
Discovery of the bodies, was on 7 p.m. Sunday, June 12th. Night before camp started, a thunderstorm came in. All the girls in the camps just went to their tents and hung out. They weren't in cabins. They were in a sheet,
pitch a tent.
A homemade pitch tent. Here's a pillow and a blanket.
And the the tent that these girls were in, I know it mentioned that it was the farthest one from the counselor that was part of their group. It was the farthest one away from them. It was kind of hidden.
Weird.
Yeah, and it was kind of hidden by the showers.
All the girls were from Oklahoma, and they all shared a tent, which was the farthest from the camp counselors. Around 6 a.m. on June 13th, a camp counselor on her way to the showers found a girl's body in a sleeping bag in the forest, and then soon discovered all the girls had been killed, and the bodies were found 150 yards away from their tent. Did testing on the bodies, and they had been raped, strangled, and just not something you'd want to see at all.
Yeah, I mean, Lauren's the one that found this case. I had never heard of it before, but when I was reading, these girls were literally in elementary school and raped.
Little girls,
It's pretty rough. It's a pretty rough way to die.
There's some evidence found, but not not anything that would interest any like detective or anything. Like I feel like they didn't really have much to go on.
Plus it was the 70s, so there wasn't a lot of like probably good collection of evidence and like a lot of DNA testing and stuff. So
we also don't know how that process went. Like, did they call the cops immediately? Like, did they?
Yeah, they didn't say much about it when we were doing our research.
They didn't say like, oh, we immediately called and like got people here.
Yeah.
You know, like, did we call the parents right away? Like,
yeah.
Like, that would be like what I would want to know.
Yeah.
Like, what was the sequence of events? Like,
yeah.
How did you handle this? Because like the guy threw away the note, so he probably felt so stupid.
Yeah, like there basically was a warning saying that I'm gonna kill 3 girls at this camp, and then like 3 girls did die, but they didn't take it seriously.
On a large red flashlight on top of the girls' bodies, and they found a fingerprint on the lens. But it was never matched with anyone. Found a footprint, shoe size of a 9.5, in a puddle of blood in the tent. So like, I wasn't sure if the tent was like on like solid ground. I don't know if they had like a thing on the bottom, or that, which is interesting too, because if it was in the dirt, I don't know how that would look like. Yeah, how that would be able to like really know like that was a footprint.
Yeah.
The landowner had heard a lot of traffic, I guess on like the main road that you take to get into the camp, between 2 and 3 in the morning of the night of the murder.
Yeah, and also the night that they were murdered, I guess, like how she's saying, like they probably questioned everyone that was there. A lot of the campers and counselors, like throughout the night, heard like screaming, heard moaning, heard really weird things. Even the girls that were in tent number 7, which was, I'm assuming, right next to the tent where the girls were murdered at, in tent number 8, they said that someone with a flashlight like opened their tent and looked in there, but then like went away. And so
that's so freaky.
And that is weird, because it's like, was that the person? Was it just like their counselor checking on them? Like, you never know. And so it's just kind of interesting, because it's like, well, if these girls are 3 girls are getting murdered, like, was there no noise? Did no one hear them? Because, you know, when you're in a forest or you're camping, like, you're not going to inspect every single noise you hear. Like, you're just probably going to assume it's like, whatever, animals, or, you know.
But I feel like someone heard something.
Yeah. And you know what? I bet they probably didn't even think it was anything, and then they were like...
And I wonder if, like, the girls had made any noise. Like, did he, you know, do something?
Like, duct tape them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because duct tape was another thing that was found as evidence. There was duct tape, a cord. Like, she mentioned there was the red flashlight. They also found a single hair on like one of the pillowcases. There was a footprint, and then on the pillowcase they also found semen and female DNA, which we'll get into in a second. So the 3 main like theories of what happened that night. The number 1 is that there was a guy, this guy, I swear, his name's Gene Leroy Hart, and he is a Cherokee Native American, which will be relevant, but he actually was like a well-known criminal in that area.
Grew up like a mile away from the camp.
Yeah, so he probably knows the area really well. So he actually was in jail in 1973, so like a couple years before the murder happened. He was in jail because he was convicted of kidnapping, raping 2 pregnant women, and so he was in jail for that. So then he escaped from jail, and he was on the run, and he was loose during the time that the girls got murdered. So he was like a really well-known criminal, like with the law enforcement there. So
he had been sentenced to what, like
300 years, something crazy.
Insane, like life sentence.
Yeah, like he was going to be there forever. There was a lot of like Native Americans in that area, and a lot of them were actually helping him hide out like during that time, because you know,
was probably a lot of land.
Yeah,
like,
and a lot of people.
Camp,
they suspected that it was him. Also suspected it was him because the piece of hair that they found that they got tested, it supposedly like came from a Native American. So that was like kind of what got them to think it was him. So they were on the hunt for him, they found him, and they arrested him on April 6th in 1978. And the next year, because trials take forever, he was tried for the murder of the 3 girls, but he was actually acquitted by the jury because they just didn't find him guilty.
Not a lot of evidence.
Yeah.
Like, he was just probably there.
And he was someone easy to pin it on because he knew the area. again, violence
You
against women.
escaped from prison.
Yeah, there's some factors.
Like, hello. That would be my first, like, oh yeah, this guy did it. Like.
Yeah, and I think that the hair was like a big thing in it because when the forensic like chemist looked at the hair, she was like, it does match his hair pretty well, but like I can't like 100% for sure say that it was him. He was acquitted from that, but he did have to go back to jail for the original
crap that he did.
Yes. Back to jail for the original crimes that he had committed, and in 1979 he collapsed and died of a heart attack. And
in prison.
Yep. Age 35.
In the outside like yard.
Like gym area.
Really young, like super weird.
Yeah, 35 to have a heart attack, that's pretty young. So that is like the number one like suspect. Like this case was considered solved when they had him in custody and they were gonna like try him. Now it's considered unsolved because I mean they acquitted him like of all the charges. I mean, I'm surprised that like the district attorney even took that case because I feel like there wasn't even like enough evidence. Like the hair may have been
really,
his.
Like, weird. And
I don't know. It's weird.
It's just because he had a record, you know. How that goes, like. And
I'm sure it's a small town, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he did do it. We'll never know. I mean, he's dead now, so. So the second biggest theory of what they think happened was that maybe there was a woman involved, and whether it was a woman that was involved with him in the thing, or a woman acted alone, or whatever. The pillowcase that was found at the scene, that it actually had a partial like female DNA on it. So in 2008. They went ahead and tested it, and they realized that the 2 out of the 3 girls, it did not come from them. Like they were like, it is not theirs, like just from them sleeping on it. The 3rd girl though, they couldn't say that it wasn't hers, and they couldn't say it was hers. It was like inconclusive. But the like detectives and stuff were like, it could have just come from a female that was at the murder scene. Plus, the footprint that was found at the scene was a 9.5, and like a lot of girls are like 9. You know, they could be like 9.5. And the guy, the Gene Hart guy, he was like a size 11.5. So it couldn't have been his footprint that was there. Not that he wasn't there, but so that's another theory, is that there was a woman in
Which
this.
sucks, that would have probably put him in the clear.
Yeah, it would have cleared his name if they could have figured that out. But again,
he already had stuff anyway.
Yeah, and a lot of the DNA was like too deteriorated to like even test, because they tested everything when they first got it and it was all inconclusive, and then with better DNA testing in 2008 they tried to do it again to see if it would like make any progress, but it just came back with the same results. God! Lori scared me! Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm sweating. Okay.
That's funny.
So the very last theory that they came up with of what might have happened, which personally I think is like one of the crazier ones. In 1989, almost 12 years after the girls were murdered, Reverend Gerald Manley, who was a reverend like in the town at that time, he told authorities that he thought that there were 4 men that killed the girls. And he only gave the authorities the names of 2 people, and so the authorities like went in and investigated the 2 guys, but there was like no way that they could link them to it. And he claims his story, the Reverend's story of why he thought he knew who killed them, these 4 guys, was because he says that he went to the camp with the 4 guys who came to him and were like, oh, like we need you to come with us, like we need like some Christian like influence. So like he claims that he went with them to the murder site, like to the camp, and that he says that he saw like the girls' bodies, and like I don't know why he's choosing to talk about it later. I don't even know if it's true, but
it's
he
just
did
like a really random thing to like
to bring up. Like you would think that he would say it right after, or even if he was scared, like I don't know. But he did pass a lie detector test when given one, and then when he was under hypnosis, which, you know, like hypnosis, like you're all hypnotized, like you could say anything. Like he gave them the same story. So it makes you wonder if he was lying or not. Yeah. So those are like the 3 big theories of like what happened, and the strongest one was that it was Gene Leroy Hart, but again he died.
There was a local sheriff that like said in court, like, I'm 1,000% sure.
He was like so confident
that it was Gene. Like he was probably like, he probably knew him or something.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like just a local sheriff in a small town.
Knew how he was, and
in the 1970s, like they know everyone.
Yeah.
they know everyone, especially if you've done some stuff.
Yeah, they're like familiar with you.
Yeah, they know about you. They know your family. Like, they know everything. The aftermath of it, the two families later sued the Magic Empire Council, which they didn't say really like a description of that, but we think it's like the council that like represented the camp. Mm-hmm. We're not really sure. That was like a weird name. So we're like, what?
Like, it wasn't very clear like who that was, but it's probably someone to do with the camp.
So they sued him for like $5 million for the civil trial that included the discussion of the threatening note that they had gotten, which is weird because they didn't have the note, so like you can't really use that as a thing in court if you don't have it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, a lot of the like victims' families like are advocating for a lot of stuff that's happened. Yeah. He's established like the Victims' Bill of Rights, which helps keep families like involved in the legal process. Because I guess like in the 70s, like they completely like shut the families out and they were like, no, like let us do it. But this allows the families to like completely be involved in like what's going on. And then also like a compensation thing to help families with like expenses, like no matter what it is. And then one of the moms too, like she opened up like a chapter for Oklahoma for like the parents of murdered children to help give families like support and like stuff therapy. Like so I mean they're still advocating, but like
it's cool.
Yeah, but they can't really
especially because they had no closure for this murder, so like
they had no idea who did it,
and they're probably still like who did that. Like you don't get rid of that.
No, like, you'll always think about that.
Stuck with it.
I feel like it was just definitely like some outside people, like you know. I mean, I think that it could have been a camp counselor also, but you know, maybe it was just like a group of people like that were just like, oh, we know that these girls stay here, like let's just go. Yeah. And they got away with it. You know, it could have just been someone random. Maybe it was just one person who had a 9.5 foot. You know, maybe the 9.5 foot was like the counselors. Someone was walking through the night and accidentally stepped on the blood. I don't know. It could be so many things. And this case remains unsolved.
Next time we'll have a local-ish murder case.
Yes. If y'all don't know, we live in Texas. Y'all probably do know that though. But we were trying to look at a lot of, like she found a local case kind of like for Texas. So that'll probably be our next one.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Peace.